Candice Robinson here to join about Saturday's runners at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. Always willing to chat. Thank you so much, Candice. Starting off in race number 1, where you got 2 runners, Red Dawn, a first timer by Horizon, and Cowboy, who put up a lovely performance first time out. Was that run a surprise or not?
Not really, Alistair. He's a lovely colt, that, and he was showing quite a bit before he came out. Obviously, taking on Vaughan's horse, who was a winner, so it wasn't easy for him. And they went a good pace that day. So a very good run from him first time out. I think he's come on nicely from that run. He's obviously got ability, much bigger field this time. So not too sure what we're taking on. I'm sorry, you're doing an interview, and I haven't even looked at the book at this stage of the week, so not quite sure what I'm taking on. But he's a very nice colt, and if there's not too much in the race, then I think he'll have a good chance.
And then the first timer, number 11, Red Dawn, expectations there?
He's going to need a lot further, I think. I think he probably will be outpaced over 1,000 first time, and he will need the experience.
3 runners in race number 3, starting off with number 4, Rattlesnake, 1 run under the belt. How much scope to improve?
Yeah, a nice run from him first time out. He was a bit slow at the gates. I think he'll be a little bit sharper this time. Running in an open maiden this time, so there are 2 maiden older horses in there with, a bit of hard knocking maiden form. So yeah, difficult to assess his chances in a race like this, but he could possibly finish in the money if he is improved from that first run.
Maneki Nico, he looks overdue.
Yeah, sure. Alistair, he's not the soundest of horses. He's got a lot of little niggly issues and things, so I think he might just prefer it with the sting out of the ground, but, in a field like this, he certainly could have a money chance.
And then number 6, La Pulga, which translates to the flea, named after Lionel Messi, I believe. First timer for the Progeny Pomodoro.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't look like a flea. He's a big strapping horse. Lovely horse, Alistair. He shows quite a bit at home. You never know with my first timers what to expect. Often they come out and they're a little bit green and they need the experience, but he's the kind of horse that I think will run a decent race first time out, but may just need the experience.
Then we skip a race on to race 5, where you got the well-named Einstein out of the mare Intelligent. Looked like he wasn't going anywhere quickly, and then suddenly form seems to have sparked up a bit. Yeah,
he's not a bad little horse, Alice. I'm not really sure what his best sort of trip would be. I think, he does 1,000 quite comfortably, but, a lot of the time they say he's probably looking for a 14. So in the middle, over a 12 this time. He's I look at him every morning at the moment. I think I could have him looking better than what he does. He just looks a little bit on the light side. He just doesn't want to. He's just not going through a phase where he's flourishing at the moment. So I'm not quite sure what to expect from him. His work has been fair enough, and I think if it's not too strong, then he must be included.
In the 6th race, we've got St. Bridget, who's got an awful draw. How concerned are you about that?
Well, never helps drawing 11 out of 11. She's knocking on the door to win her maiden now. She's the kind of filly I think that probably would be looking for quite a bit further as well. Draw's obviously going to be a tricky one, but she's not that she doesn't have much pace. I think if Aldo can get out and we can find a decent spot on her, she must be able to be competitive.
In the feature race on the card, this is the Grade 3 Champagne Stakes. You've got a few runners, and you have 5 to be exact. Starting with number 3, Gold Poker Game under Joshua Solomons. Where does she stand?
It'll be too sharp for her, and it's obviously a prep run for the second leg of the winter series coming up, so I can't expect much from her in a 12.
Jerusalem Moraine, I find him quite easy to judge in just how he looks on race day. If he looks a little bit flat, he runs flat, but when he can look quite flashy, he runs good races. Where is he at the moment?
Particularly well at the moment. He looks very well, Alistair. I think he needed that last run a bit. He raced up quite handy most of the way, and he's not always the easiest of horses to train because sometimes he doesn't take a lot of work, and I think I was just a little bit soft on him last time. Got him in a much better shape this time. Obviously taking on a couple of decent fillies in that race, but I think he'll run a much better race this time, and he could well be in the firing line.
October Morn had a brilliant summer. Is this a reset for the rest of the season, or is she ready to go?
She's had a break. No, she's not quite ready to go, Alistair. She's had a break, and it's been a little bit of a rush prep for her. Obviously I would like to take her up I'm taking her up for the Scottsville Group 1 sprint, and the prep runs just don't work out quite right from a timing point of view with travelling and what have you, and taking her to Scottsville. So it's been a little bit of a rush. She's had 1 gallop. She's the kind of filly though that doesn't take a huge amount of work. She's quite a light frame filly, so she can probably get away with it. She will need the run, but that doesn't mean that she's not good enough to be right there. But as I say, she'll need the run. It's definitely a come-on run for her, but if she ended up winning, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Red Palace is probably good enough to give it a shake, but obviously bigger picture with her?
Same story with her, having a prep run for the second leg of the winter series, and I think if she does well enough in there, I might take her up to Durban for July Day, but we'll play that by ear. She's a lovely filly. She's always doing well. Same with her. She's probably going to need her first run back. 1200 is a little bit on the sharp side for her as well, so I'm not quite sure what to expect from her over a 12 first run back. She'll be nice and fresh, so I'm sure she'll be running on.
And then Winter Cloud, she's sensational when she gets the job done. She looks good with of how she hits the line, how's she doing going into
Yeah,
this?
she won her last race. I thought was a particularly good win from her. She's also going to probably go up for the Scottsville Sprint. She's also not the easiest to assess. She's not the greatest workhorse at home. Sometimes she'll put up good work, and other times she'll put up terrible work. And she likes to confuse you a little bit like that. So you can't go too much on that, but she looks great at the moment, and I think she's the kind of filly that certainly would have a good chance in this race if she repeats her last run.
And the penultimate runner on the card, race 8, number 3, Piroshka. He tends to raise his game against good opposition and then kind of does the same good run but not getting the job done against this type of opposition.
Exactly. He's always been like it. He's a horse that doesn't really have a proper distance. He's anywhere from 1,000 to, you put him over 14 and he's not so great over there. So, but he looks well at the moment. He's actually quite nice and strong. It was a very nice run from him last time. I think if they don't run him off his feet too much in the 1,000, he's always got to be included.
And then the last runner, Fly Futura, dropping back to 1,600 meters. Is that just because the program lends itself to this coming up?
Yeah, the program's a little tricky with him, and also I think at this stage, he is a horse that's going to definitely be wanting further, but I think at this stage, I think he's probably more comfortable with a mile from a strength point of view. He's just still a little bit on the weak side, but he's a very nice horse, and I think he's going to be a very handy staying type, probably later on this year. So I think a mile for him is a nice trip for him at the moment, and again, he's always thereabouts and competitive, and will have a good each way chance.